Welcome to the SBR NHL Double Play of the Day video for Saturday, February 22nd. I'm Ian Cameron with Adam Booth as we break down our top plays for the Saturday NHL card. Both of us, I think, are starting to get on a little bit of a roll again, so that's good news in terms of the play of the day. I know we both cashed in on Thursday. Hopefully we can both cash in again here on Saturday. Let's start with you, Adam. Your play for this Saturday, Washington, New Jersey, early start, so make sure you don't sleep in on this one. It starts, it's one of the first games off the card today at 1 p.m. Eastern time. We've got Washington minus 210, road favorites, total 6.5, shaded to the under. Washington Capitals coming off a overtime loss to the Montreal Canadiens in their last game, 4-3. New Jersey, we know it's been tough sledding for them with the trades, Coleman, others, Andy Green, possibly Kyle Palmieri, possibly others about to get dealt from this Devils team, clear sellers at the deadline. In theory, Washington should take care of business. They also do have a big game with Pittsburgh tomorrow afternoon, so we'll hopefully see some focus here to take care of business from Washington with that huge, essentially first-place showdown matchup with Pittsburgh tomorrow afternoon on deck. Adam thinks they will show the focus because it looks like he likes Washington to get the job done by margin. Adam, tell us why you like the Capitals. He's muted, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to mute my mic simply because of that stupid train running by.
Because of the train station outside is.
God, it gives me headaches. When it's like 4 a.m. and I'm working on morning tennis, and I've got that sound, blowing by, and I'll put the headphones in, and it still comes in through. So apologies for that sound. Maybe I'll get a soundproof room if we have a good enough season. Anyway, so I have the Caps puck line today, and part of it is kind of exactly what Mr. Brian Dawsonberger is saying. Caps haven't been playing well. That's why we have the price on them that we have today. A puck line number where, it's evaluated at it's less likely to hit than the Devils covering, and I have it at just above 50%. Even though the Capitals have been on a slide, losing 5 of the last 6, losing 3 straight, dropping games, to the Habs, for instance, a team that has struggled against many different teams recently. And on the flip side, Blackwood's 5-0 in his last few starts. He's the Devils have won 3 of 4, I think, something that when you have that kind of clash, it creates a number like we have today. And so in that sense, the price on the puck line makes sense. But this, in how these teams have matched up against one another so far this season, I love that number. And if you were to say, half the time that number comes in, that's all you need for this to be a profitable play. Now, those of you who do follow my stuff, that I've been on the Devils twice against the Caps this season, and we were on them for that big win when they won 5-1. But if you look at the metrics of that game, they were heavily outplayed. It was outstanding goaltending and opportunistic offense. It wasn't like they crushed the Capitals, like a 5-1 score would indicate. So really what I'm saying here is the more likely outcome is the Capitals covering, even though the price suggests it's not there. And that's what we call value. So you might say, no, the Devils are going to continue to stay hot. Blackwood could steal this game, which he can. And that's going to make you stay off of it. And I understand that. But we want to get ahead of a possible Washington starts to play better. And as opposed to continuing to fade a good team that eventually will start to put some wins together. So New Jersey is the right type of team for Washington to turn up against. It's a division rival. It's a team that they've had success against. It's a team that is a bit overvalued considering, they are sellers at the trade deadline. They've lost Coleman and Green, 2 big guys. I was on them for the puck play of the day on Thursday. So I can understand that the Devils can win games. But facing a Sharks team compared to a Washington team desperate to finally break their losing streak is kind of different. In addition, the Caps added Brendan Dillon from San Jose, right? Yeah. And,
that's right. Yep.
Yeah. And it wasn't a great debut for him. Obviously, the Caps allowed 2 or 3 breakaway goals, I think, in the game against Montreal. And the New Jersey is a similar type of team. They've got a couple speedy guys. Bratt scored a beauty. I think it was on a breakaway as well against the Sharks the other night. And so it's the same type of speedy offensive guys on the front end for the Devils that if the Capitals play sloppy defense, pinch and get caught and, that type of play, New Jersey can punish them. But it's in the mind of the Capitals. The coach has talked about these turnovers. He commented that they would have lost to just about any team on Thursday. And, if that continues to happen, New Jersey will win or cover the puck line at least. But I love the price on the Caps today. I was told on Thursday not to overthink my place so much. So here's one where I'm not overthinking it, and I'm going with the puck line for the Caps.
All right, liking the puck line. Washington -1.5 plus 125, right around that same price right now, courtesy of SBRodds.com. And make sure you're using that every day for the best line and price with all your wagers, and also for all the NHL written content on a daily basis from Adam and all the other writers that contribute articles and betting analysis for SBR. Make sure you check out sbrvideo.com/NHL. It's where you can find all of that. Obviously, the last video we did, I had the Florida LA over. Very easy win there. I'm going to Boston, Vancouver tonight for the play of the day. We've got Boston -140 road favorites, again, courtesy of SBRodds.com. The total 5.5 shaded to the over at around -115 in this game. And I do like over 5.5, as you can see at around I got -112. It's around there, still around -115 in most places. The Bruins are on the midst of their, of course, Western Canada road trip. Started in Edmonton, went to Calgary last night, and ends tonight in Vancouver. As these road trips go on, I find the sloppiness increases in a team. And as well as the Bruins have played defensively, and it's not just well, they have been stifling defensively since the All-Star break. Prior to last night against Calgary, and I was on the over in that game as well, they had not allowed more than 2 goals they had allowed more than 2 goals in only one game since the All-Star break prior to last night. So the Bruins have been really good defensively. Last night, not a great start defensively, but then they do shut down Calgary the rest of the way. Calgary got 3 goals in the first 5 minutes of the game, and then nothing after that. But Boston ends up weathering the storm and coming back to win 4-3 in that game. Now they're traveling to Vancouver to take on the Canucks, who have been a really big-time over team at home this year, and including on this current homestand. You look at Vancouver, they've played 5 home games in a row, 4-1 to the over so far in these last 5 home games for the Vancouver Canucks. They're coming off a 4-3 loss to Minnesota in a shootout in their last game. Don't really love the way this team has played defensively. And I like Jacob Markstrom's game, but not exactly fond of the way the defense has played in front of him in recent games for the Vancouver Canucks. Series history as well has trended a little bit over the total, 5-2-1. The over the last 8 meetings between the Bruins and the Canucks, which we've got coming into this game here tonight. Boston, again, a very good defensive team, but minutes adding up. You have to keep that in mind. From a Vancouver perspective, they've gotten pretty good step-up contributions from everybody in the lineup, despite the fact, Brock Besser, Michael Ferland, a couple of key forwards are out. And what I think is big for Boston moving forward is the trade with Anaheim to get Ondrej Kase. He is a very good offensive player. He is going to fit in seamlessly, I think, with this group, probably play on their second line, I would think, alongside Jake DeBrusk. And Charlie Coyle, I would think, is going to be your second line there. If you can get that line going behind the Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak group, you are going to be a very, very good team in terms of your top 6 forwards. That's the one concern with Boston right now and going into the playoffs. Will they get enough from their bottom forwards? Will they get enough scoring outside of the big 3, the top line? Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak. Well, Ondrej Kase is going to go a long way to improving the depth of offense and scoring that this Bruins team has. I would think and assume he's going to make his Bruins debut tonight. The trade happened yesterday. Obviously, he didn't play last night against Calgary, but I expect him to be in there tonight for this game against the Vancouver Canucks. Although, if I'm not mistaken, Andre Kasha was battling injury as well, so we'll have to double check, or an illness, I should say. Yes, he was under the weather prior to this trade, so flu-like symptoms were the issue with him that he was dealing with prior to this trade happening. So you're going to want to keep an eye on that. If he's feeling well enough, he will make his debut. If he's not, he won't play. But long term, definitely the Bruins a better offensive team after making this deal. It will definitely improve the depth that they have up front. And again, with this team now playing their third road game in 4 nights, as great defensively as they've been, when you're playing that many games with that much travel in a condensed period of time, that's when the sloppy play and puck management issues sometimes creep into your game. Sometimes the times when turnovers and just haphazard play with the puck becomes more predominant when you're a little bit more fatigued and you're on a long road trip and it's the end of the trip and you're now playing your third game in 4 days. And, with the Canucks off the loss against Minnesota, I think their mindset is going to be, try to jump on Boston early tonight in this game, knowing they played last night, and really be aggressive, shoot the puck, take it to the net, get traffic, rebounds in front of Tuukka Rask. That's the way you're going to have to score against Boston. Boston's positionally sound and structured defensively. You got to get traffic. You got to get people to the net, bodies to the net, make it tough for Rask to see the puck, make it tough and make it tough on the Boston defense to have to clear the front of the net. If you do that, that's your best chance of success of scoring against a Bruins team that, other than last night, they've played pretty good defensively since the All-Star break. So I think there's a lot of factors in play. Again, the series history is 5-2-1 to the over. In the last 8 meetings, Vancouver's cashed over tickets 4 of their 5 games so far on their current homestand. I like the Bruins and Canucks here, over 5.5, minus 112.
Sorry, I just had to find my unmute button. Yeah, it's an interesting one, Ian. I appreciate your insights on that one because the totals have been tricky for me. But one that I was looking at was the Canucks over 2.5. Instead of the total, or maybe just in addition to total, and skip the money, the Canucks money line. I'm not sure on that one. It's a better spot for the Canucks, but I'm lost.
Here's your reservation. It's a good spot for the Canucks, but the other team's 11-1 in their last 12 games. That's the reservation. They're just playing, so well and finding ways to win when they don't play their best, like last night.
Yeah, and it concerns me that if the Canucks are playing against a disciplined team with steady defense and good defensive numbers, if they don't get enough power plays or, Pettersson isn't given the space. He's been quite profiled this year as someone who doesn't get as many calls as he should, even though I think he drew most of the penalties. He was one of the most drawn penalty player last year. I don't know how to phrase it. I need another coffee. But what I'm trying to say is last year he was getting a lot more calls going his way than he is this year. And it's just a matter of circumstance sometimes. But you're right. It's Boston being the playoff version of Boston that we've kind of seen lately. Calgary ambushed them last night. But they still they tied up still in the first period, and then after that shut the door. And it's that ability to sort of just put up the wall and stem the tide. That sort of, I need a coffee.
You know what? The Bruins may not be done. I'm hearing some rumblings, and of course, Jimmy Murphy, who I work with regularly, and is part of SBR too. He writes for them at sportsbookreview.com. He's a media guy. He covers the Boston Bruins. He's been covering the team for, I'd say, at least 10 or 15 years, maybe even longer than that, for various outlets. And Jimmy seems to think the Bruins are hot on the trails of Chris Kreider. Doesn't mean they're going to get Chris Kreider, but boy, if they were ever to land him, for all this talk about depth of offense, throw it in the garbage chute. If they get Chris Kreider, man, that team all of a sudden offensively, and Kasha, wow.
They could use a bit more speed up front. I think that's been not an issue because, look how they're doing this season, but it's something that they could probably use a little bit more of. That's interesting. Well, and of course they had the trade with Anaheim, wasn't it? And they dealt, they deal a guy like Backus, is old, aging, physical, slow guy, And
it's a perfect fit. It's just a question of what do
yeah,
they give up? Do they want to give up what they
yeah,
have to give up to get Kreider? But yeah, it's a good fit that they need another winger, another
yeah,
top six or big time offensive force. Because people are going to be putting their attention. You got good teams in the playoffs that are going to be putting their attention on that Bergeron line with Marchand and Pasternak. You're going to have some other lines step up for you. And boy, if you could get a Kreider, put him on a second line, man, that's all of a sudden a very dangerous Bruins.
yeah,
Doesn't mean they're going to get him, but I know they are kicking tires at least with the New York Rangers
yeah.
on maybe obtaining Chris Kreider. Although the New York Rangers are playing like they're trying to tell their GM something right now, like don't sell. We're only actually now 4 points back. The Rangers are back into it.
I had a conversation with somebody last night in one of the Discords about this, and Rangers, somehow they, with very little to go on, of course they had the biggest acquisition in the offseason, but with very little to go on, in addition to that, they have made a name for themselves, and they continue to be underpriced. And they're beating other teams that are desperate for wins as well. And now they're 3 points out of a playoff spot with a couple games in hand, I think. I'd have to look at the updated standings, but they're right there, which makes it a little more interesting for the Eastern teams like Florida, Toronto, Columbus, who probably thought they'd be a little bit ahead in the standings at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the trade deadline is Monday. Our next video will be Tuesday. So we might throw in a couple little thoughts on the trade deadline on Tuesday's show along with our plays, just to give you some opinion. Who did good, who didn't do so good at the deadline. Maybe we'll throw in some of that briefly on Tuesday when we do our next video. All right, so to wrap up, Adam likes Washington -1.5 +125 against New Jersey, and I'm on Boston, Vancouver over 5.5 -112. In that game for the play of the day on this Saturday. 2-0 sweep Thursday. Let's see if we can bank another 2-0 sweep here on this Saturday. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We appreciate it. Again, check out sbrvideo.com/NHL for all the written content on the NHL from a betting perspective daily. Have a great Saturday. We'll see you again Tuesday, 10 at noon Eastern time. Back to our regular weekday time, noon Eastern time, Tuesday. Got it right. Tuesday, noon Eastern time for the next edition of the SBR NHL Double Play of the Day video. For Adam Booth, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday and great weekend. Good luck with your wagers, and we'll see you again on Tuesday.